emails, it is quite clear that Jeffrey Epstein had a wide, almost incalculably wide circle of associates. People who were celebrities, people who were either in foreign governments or leaders of foreign governments, business tycoons, and the like.
New emails from Jeffrey Epstein just dropped, and they're not just name-dropping the Harveys, they're straight-up tying Marjorie Harvey to Epstein's whole scene. You know, the one with presidents and princes. This is hitting at the worst time for her, 'cause word is her marriage to Steve Harvey is on the rocks, looking at a crazy $200 million split. It's like three storms crashing together: Congress cracking open Epstein's inbox, Steve Harvey's whole relationship expert image, and now a wife who might be ready to talk about what went down while Steve was climbing to the top.
I think it reinforced the research that I did on my book, that Jeffrey Epstein has always viewed himself as smarter than everybody else, and he also has collected people all along the way, particularly over the 2 decades through his trafficking. And that was always to get secrets and bits of information about individuals that he could pass to other people. He trafficked.
Now, the back and forth in Congress is its own drama. The Dems dropped some emails first, where Epstein calls Trump borderline insane and says he knew about the girls. But then, hours later, the GOP came with over 20,000 pages, saying the public needed the whole story.
View is and never was part of the Epstein files. She was sentenced in 2025. This was an interview by Trump's lawyer to protect Trump from the fallout about the Epstein files. What this really is nothing but a sketchy PR stunt by the Department of Justice. And we have seen this movie before. The Maxwell interview is to the Epstein files what the Barr letter was to the Mueller investigation.
The Republicans accused the Dems of playing games, hiding the real info. Deep in those thousands of pages, lawyers working the Harveys' divorce found old emails from 2011 between Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
That Steve Harvey was in a perfect position to help me get cleansed. I wouldn't have to go through what I went through, but God.
Those lawyers ain't talking on record, but they're whispering that a name looking a whole lot like Marjorie Harvey is sitting right there in the emails. Same name popping up in the private divorce papers.
Hey, see, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna tell it all. I'm telling all y'all. She said, and it was fact, she used to check dudes with big lips.
By 2011, Epstein was already a convicted creep who got a sweetheart deal. But he's still emailing Maxwell like it's nothing, no big deal.
Now, I'm a Christian, but I ain't that good a Christian.
Dude's tone in the emails is wild casual. Experts say he comes off arrogant, sloppy, full of typos and weird double commas. Like he never thought in a million years Congress would be reading his dirt out loud.
He took my Winton. Took my Winton from me. He turned my son against me.
One buried email even talks about a woman who hung out for hours at his place with a guy who later became president. Maxwell's reply sounds all obedient and not even surprised. On the surface, it's not about the Harveys. But here's the thing: in 2025, that exact email, date, time, subject line, shows up again in legal requests from lawyers handling a massive celebrity divorce this past fall.
So she called me. And she just went off on me. You gotta understand, she's not gonna be speaking on none of that because her whole thing is to hide her past.
These insiders still won't say the name, but they're basically describing a Southern socialite who totally reinvented herself to become the glam, polished half of a famous power couple. You don't need a map to see where this is going. Fast forward to January 2019. Epstein's still alive, angrily emailing a reporter about Trump, saying he knows how dirty Donald is, and whining about snitches and shady money trails.
Her is 54 years old. Her mother is 5 years older.
In another one, he straight up says Trump knew about the girls, while telling Maxwell to watch her mouth. The Dems jumped on that phrase as proof. The GOP tried to spin it. But the real kicker? Those explosive messages were grabbed right from Epstein's own property under a court order, according to people who know.
Advice they've given you?
Just remember that you're the prize at all times. Boom. Best advice.
Those files from Epstein's world ain't just for Congress anymore. They're center stage in the Harvey divorce battle. One side is pushing hard with legal orders to crack him open. This ain't just about rehashing old crimes. They're trying to expose a whole pattern, how powerful dudes allegedly used secret money, private jets, and quiet deals to hide the mess from their double lives. While all this legal drama was going down behind closed doors, Steve Harvey was still on stage smiling. In 23 and 24, he was out there preaching redemption and relationship advice like his world was perfect. He sold the story of the changed man, the guy who messed up twice but finally found his perfect, unbreakable third marriage. Then, the internet exploded. Rumors flew that Marjorie was getting too close to a bodyguard and a chef, prepping for a $200 million split. Steve tried to shut it down quick at an Atlanta event, calling it all nonsense. Right after, Marjorie posted a link to some religious blog about how to handle being lied about, playing the victim. By late 25, both sides' lawyers were deep in gathering digital evidence, the kind that gets real powerful if things blow up. This is where the Epstein email connection stops looking like a conspiracy theory and starts looking strategic. Word is, Marjorie's team has been quietly checking if anything from Epstein's files, now with Congress, lines up with her trips, guest lists, or private events from before and after she married Steve in 2007. We gotta remember, Marjorie's past ain't simple. Her first husband got life in the 90s for a massive drug move. Obama later let him out. Husband number 2 was also tied to major trafficking. When these old cases resurfaced, her first ex claimed he took a deal partly to keep her name out of it. Now, lawyers are low-key asking if the same government folks on the Epstein case might still have old files from those investigations too. For Steve, this ain't just about houses and cash. His whole brand, the loyal husband, the relationship guru, is on the line. One bad leak could wreck everything. Years back, his ex-wife Mary sued him for $60 million, saying he ruined her life. A judge tossed it, and Steve's team called it all lies. That let him play the good guy. But if Marjorie walks into court now with Epstein-adjacent documents, the story flips completely. The guy who laughed off rumors suddenly looks like he's hiding something. That's exactly why lawyers are going hard for those estate files, to hunt for flight logs or emails that connect familiar names to sketchy places. They're careful to say a mention ain't guilt. But in the court of public opinion, nobody waits for the facts. The context is wild. You got a socialite whose first 2 husbands were tied to huge trafficking ops. Her daughter, Lori, ran in the same elite circles as a music mogul, Diddy, who's now in deep legal trouble. And Steve himself had a friendly meet-up with Donald Trump at Trump Tower back in 2017. If Steve's team has been trying to stop Marjorie from talking under oath, then this is way bigger than some divorce drama. This is a straight-up power play. Sources say Marjorie's lawyers found something Steve never wanted seen, a paper trail of secret money moves and quiet cleanups. This ain't his first legal fight, but it's different. With Marjorie asking for over $200 million, it looks less like gossip and more like a threat he can't shake. Word is, Steve's finances haven't been as clean as his speeches. In 24, people noticed weird cash moves and assets getting shifted around. It looked less like smart business and more like someone preparing for a hurricane. Properties got moved into new trusts, new companies with random names popped up. To divorce lawyers, every one of those moves looks suspect. So why would Marjorie, after nearly 20 years, suddenly demand half of everything? Insiders say it's not just cash, it's insurance. The more she's allegedly seen and kept quiet about, the higher the price for her silence gets. If the whispers about sealed records and old investigations are even a little true, then she's calculating what Steve would pay to make sure some questions never get asked in court. This is where their daughter, Lori, becomes a wild card. Back in 19, Lori was already linked to social circles that made Hollywood side-eye. She was often seen with Diddy, on vacations, at dinners. In 24, feds raided Diddy's homes, exposing a world of luxury built on control. Whispers say Lori's name showed up in at least one sealed doc from that world. Those old vacation pics suddenly look different. Steve legally adopted Lori in 07, giving her his famous last name. But now, with Epstein's files being dug through and Diddy's past in court, people are asking a darker question. Did Steve adopt a daughter, or did he bring a long-term problem into his family? A problem lawyers could use against him. The political ties make it messy. In 19, Epstein was emailing about a former president who knew about the girls. That same year, Steve was photographed walking into Trump Tower for a meeting. He said it was about helping cities, but now, with Epstein's emails public, that friendly photo feels heavy. We're watching three stories crash: Epstein's emails, the Harvey divorce, and Lori's connections to a world under investigation. The harshest take is that this is the end of empires built on secrets. Two of the main men here are still standing. But the third major figure ain't a man, it's Marjorie Harvey. A woman who, according to insiders, is finally ready to speak under oath, where every word counts. This is no regular divorce. If Marjorie's team really has pieces of Epstein's records, details from Diddy's case, and files from her old marriages, then that $200 million looks less like greed and more like the price for decades of silence. This is about a myth falling apart, the myth of the perfect family man and his safe home. Right now, it seems like Marjorie's holding the cards. Legal experts say the scariest part of the new divorce papers isn't the list of properties. It's one quiet line about anticipated testimony. Steve spent most of his career avoiding a courtroom where his words become permanent records. So where does that leave us? Looking at a woman who was quiet for years, standing next to a man who talked for a living. It makes us rethink Lori's glam trips. Were they just fun, or part of a bigger story? It makes us look back at that Steve and Trump photo, wondering how many guest lists and flight logs might connect in ways we're just starting to see. But here's the moment that changes everything. Marjorie Harvey didn't just file for divorce. She filed to force people to testify. And if that happens, Steve won't just lose his marriage. He'll lose the one thing he spent 20 years selling, the illusion that he was ever really in charge. So what happens when a woman who's kept the secrets of powerful men finally decides her silence costs too much? If you're feeling these updates, show some love, smash that like, hit subscribe, and share this with your crew. Catch you in the next video. You already know you can't miss it.